Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a total paradigm shift. We're going to take a look at how we view one of the absolute most common daily tasks in software development. We're unpacking Microsoft's enterprise training on collaborating with pull requests, specifically in Azure Repos. And let me tell you, this is going to completely change how you think about code review.
So right out of the gate, I want you to challenge your basic assumptions. Really ask yourself, what is the true purpose of a pull request? Be honest. You kind of just see it as a mundane chore. A hurdle you got to jump over before you can merge your code and finally log off for the day. Or is it something much, much bigger? Okay, let's dive into this. The traditional view of a pull request is heavily skewed towards basic bug detection. It's often manual, it's slow, and it feels like an isolated chore. But modern software development totally transcends that. We really need to shift our perspective and start viewing pull requests as strategic infrastructure. In this new enterprise paradigm, the PR is actually an automated, knowledge-focused collaborative engine. It's literally the foundational infrastructure for enterprise-grade development. Here is our roadmap for today. First, beyond catching bugs. Second, the 4 review pillars. Third, automated enterprise governance. Fourth, connecting the ecosystem. And finally, measuring PR success. Section 1. Beyond catching bugs. The enterprise paradigm. For modern distributed teams, sophisticated collaboration isn't just nice to have, it's completely non-negotiable. Think about the quality multiplier effect. When you implement PR strategically, they aren't just overhead anymore. They become a quality acceleration mechanism. It elevates the very concept of a PR into a critical business asset that scales across really complex organizational structures. Now, a massive part of this acceleration relies heavily on the human element, specifically a framework called constructive specificity. So instead of just dropping a comment that says, hey, fix this syntax, constructive specificity means saying something like, here's the preferred syntax for this framework, and here is exactly why it optimizes memory. Every single pull request essentially becomes a knowledge distribution network. You're constantly passing domain expertise and architectural insights throughout your entire team.
Section 2. The 4 review pillars. Strategic excellence.
To actually shift the focus away from just spotting random typos, high-impact code reviews need to hit 4 specific marks. 1. Architectural consistency, which ensures changes actually align with your organizational patterns. 2. Knowledge amplification, where you use the review to share vital techniques. 3. Quality systematization, which establishes clear standards for long-term maintainability. And 4. Security integration. This means embedding security considerations into every single review, no exceptions.
Section 3. Automated enterprise governance, branch policies.
So how do we actually enforce these pillars in the real world? What's fascinating here is how incredibly dense compliance rules are turned into an automated, highly digestible matrix within Azure Repos. Branch policies serve as your automated enforcers. You've got review governance mapping out approval hierarchies. You've got quality assurance running strict build validations. Then there's process compliance mandating work item links and integration validation checking deployment readiness. It perfectly balances heavy governance requirements without slowing down your development velocity.
In practice, all of this builds into a really seamless multi-stakeholder workflow. Just imagine the life cycle of a PR for a second. First, it hits baseline validation via an automated build. Next, Azure Repos automatically routes the PR straight to domain experts based purely on the file paths that were changed. Finally, if the code touches something sensitive like authentication or core frameworks, it automatically requires specialized approvals from the security or architecture teams. You get complete enterprise-level oversight entirely automatically without creating annoying bottlenecks.
So how do you actually go about configuring this? Well, best practices dictate setting your minimum reviewers to 2. And, this part is absolutely critical, disabling self-approval to guarantee true separation of duties. You should also require all approval votes to reset the moment new changes are pushed. That is vital for security. Oh, and you can use adaptive assignment. This can automatically pull junior developers into specific reviews purely for cross-training and skill development. It's brilliant.
Section 4. Connecting the ecosystem, Azure boards and pipelines.
The difference between an isolated PR and an Azure DevOps integrated PR is literally night and day. A standalone PR is just isolated code floating on its own, but an integrated PR automatically links to Azure boards based on your branch naming conventions. This gives your reviewers immediate, vital context on the actual business requirements. And more importantly, it provides a full, automated audit trail from the initial requirement
all the way to deployment. This is strictly required for regulatory compliance in financial or big enterprise environments. And the ecosystem integration definitely doesn't stop there. Azure pipelines can orchestrate staged, fully automated validations directly within the PR workflow itself. This means you have automated build validations, comprehensive test suite executions, and security scanning tools all running and providing feedback before the merge is even allowed to happen. You catch those critical, show-stopping errors while the code is still sitting in the feature branch long before it ever hits your main production line. Section 5, Measuring PR Success. KPIs and optimization.
Look, you simply can't improve what you don't measure. The source documentation outlines some very concrete KPIs that engineering managers absolutely need to be monitoring. You should track cycle time optimization, basically asking how fast are we moving from creation to merge. But obviously speed isn't everything, right? So you balance that out with review quality metrics, like your defect detection rates during the review phase. You also want to assess knowledge transfer to see if skills are actually developing across your team, and track process compliance to monitor strict policy adherence.
Monitoring all those KPIs fuels a culture of continuous improvement. By leaning into Azure DevOps Analytics, you establish these incredible data-driven feedback loops. Your branch policies shouldn't be static, set it and forget it rules. They have to evolve. Through regular monthly retrospectives and honest team feedback, you can adjust these policies based on your organization's growing maturity and constantly changing requirements. We have covered a ton of ground today, from the high-level collaborative paradigm all the way down to granular configurations in Azure Repos. But I want to leave you with this final, truly vital question. Look at your own repositories right now. Ask yourself honestly, is your current review process a bottleneck, or is it a quality accelerator? Because by applying these enterprise infrastructure principles, you have the power to completely transform your development workflow starting today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.